What's up, you guys? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday morning for probably a lot of you. It's noon here on the East Coast. We just had my daughter's kindergarten graduation this morning. So we're celebrating here, but it's so good. I'm so glad you guys are with us. We're going to get started really soon. I value your time. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm just so grateful that you're a part of all of this. So thank you. If you found this through the podcast, thanks for being with us there also. Why don't you go ahead? You can drop maybe in the chat where you're joining us from. I think I've seen registrations from all these different cities and all these different states all around the world, really. So just let us know where you're joining us from. From Maine, Danny. I am from Maine also. Danny, where in Maine are you from? I grew up in the most northern town in Maine. That's so wild. Weston, Florida. Maria Jose, hi. Columbus, Ohio. Awesome. We got someone from the UK, Texas, Vancouver, the Canadians showing up. Cape Elizabeth. Awesome. Hi, Michelle. Great to see you again. Emily McDermott. Yes. Nice to see you. Joining from, hey, Kate. It's good to see you. I'm so glad that you're here. Eve Marie. Beautiful. I grew up about 20 minutes from the border of Quebec. So I spent some time in Quebec. Absolutely. Clarissa, so good to see you. Christy. Okay, awesome. People are going to keep joining, but I want to get started. I know your time is important to you, and I value it also. So let's jump right in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, but I really want to teach today. I want to, if you guys listen to the podcast, you know my style. Not a lot of fluff. We're going to get right in. I'm going to leave you with some really practical, tangible takeaways that you can start putting into practice right away to increase your energy, increase your mood, all of those things that we're looking after. Welcome, Nicole, Christy. Okay, let me share my screen and we'll jump right in. Beautiful. Okay. I am going to leave time at the end for Q&A. I don't see the chat while I'm in this screen. So let me see if I can open it here. Okay, perfect. So if you guys have questions, you can drop them in the chat. But if you want to save them for the end, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions then. But welcome to the Energy Upgrade Masterclass. I'm going to teach you guys how to generate energy from the inside out. So before we start, I kind of want to talk about what are some of the common reasons why our energy is so zapped to begin with. I don't have to think hard or brainstorm very hard, right? The pace with which we live life, especially as if you're a mom who works outside of the home, if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you are involved in your community, if you're managing a household, the mental load of parenthood, all of the things, right? We've got a lot on our plates. These are some of the most common reasons I see why our energy is so zapped. I want to keep this about 45 minutes today. I want to get you in and then get you on your way. So obviously we won't have time to go through all of these, but where we're really going to focus today is on the first three. So we're going to talk about some daily micro habits that you guys can start to implement ASAP. That are really going to have a big impact on your sleep. So obviously we understand if we're wanting to feel energized, we've got to be getting quality sleep. So I'm going to walk you through some morning and some evening tweaks to your routines that you can start to implement that are going to help you get better rest. And then we're going to talk about the gut-brain axis, why that's so important to having good energy and having a good mood. And then we're going to kind of wind it down talking about emotional regulation. How many of you know when we are in a bad mood, that will zap our energy so quickly? So I'm going to teach you guys what to do about it. All right. That's where we're going to go today. So we're going to start with the micro habits, helping you improve your sleep. Then we're going to talk about the gut-brain axis. And then finally, we're going to talk about the emotional regulation. If you guys have a notebook or a pen, grab a pen. Now's a good time to do that. Take some notes on your phone, maybe take some screenshots of the screen, but I'm going to be sharing a lot of stuff that I want you guys to be able to have so you can reference. We're also recording this, so I will send out later this afternoon a link to the replay, so you'll have it and you'll be able to go back and rewatch it if you want to do that too. Now, I'm going to come at you with a lot of stuff today. But I want to encourage you before we start that the things that I'm sharing with you are simple, right? These are simple tweaks. If you're already showing up today to a masterclass called the Energy Upgrade, you're probably already feeling tired, overwhelmed, exhausted. You're curious about ways in which you can just optimize and improve your energy levels, right? Maybe you're feeling okay. The last thing I want to do is kind of have you leave here feeling overwhelmed and like you have 700 more things that you have to worry about and do. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you guys some really practical stuff you can start to put into practice really easily. And what I want you to do is I don't want you to leave here and be like, okay, I have like 7 new things I have to add to my daily routine. It's not what we're trying to do, right? I'm trying to make this easy for you. So as I'm going through all of these different micro habits, what I want you to do is kind of like, as you're taking notes, maybe just circle or just star 1 or 2 that you're going to start with, right? Where do you want to start? And then once you've got those under your belt and you feel comfortable with them and you've been able to really incorporate and embody them for a few days or a few weeks and it feels really good, then go back to your list and maybe add on a couple more. Okay. This is going to be doable. This is going to be really good. I want to encourage you guys, you are absolutely in the right place if you can relate to any of this. So maybe you've been struggling with chronic fatigue. Maybe it's the brain fog. Maybe you've been having a hard time feeling focused or energized or motivated or productive lately. Maybe you've been living in a state of chronic stress. Maybe you've just felt like edgy and irritable and kind of yuck. And maybe you're on the verge of burnout or you're deep in the throes of burnout, like you're well aware of your level of burnout and you're ready to do something about it. If you relate to any of this, you are absolutely in the right place. This is going to be so helpful for you. Okay, I want to start here. If you listen to the podcast, you are well acquainted with symptoms of nervous system dysregulation, right? We talk about this all the time. I separate them into mental, emotional, and physical signs of dysregulation. Why don't you guys put a me in the chat if you can relate to these, right? If you're looking through this and you're like, oh yeah, that hits, check, right? I think, yeah, a lot of us, right? And what I want to do is as you're looking at this and as you're relating to it and you're like, yep, wow, this is like a lot, Michelle, I want this to give you hope. And I want this to be encouraging to you because none of these symptoms here of nervous system dysregulation are things that you have to tolerate, things that you have to live with, things that you have to just manage. You can learn as you learn how to regulate your nervous system, you can learn how to bring regulation, and all of these symptoms of nervous system dysregulation are going to subside as your nervous system heals. So this is the bulk of what I teach inside of my group program called Restore. I'm going to talk about that more at the end today. So if you're relating and resonating and wanting to take a next step to learn how to heal your nervous system because you're just tired of being tired, right? You're sick of feeling sick. This is going to be really, really helpful for you today. So I was also someone like all of you who put me, yeah, Christy, I see you, all of the above. I was there. I was there about 6-7 years ago. I just think back, I had a newborn. I had a 16-month-old. My kids are 16 months apart. And I remember taking a newborn to the office and like nursing her while I was taking depositions, while I was trying to negotiate the settlement of lawsuits. I remember working morning, noon, and night. I remember just feeling like a shell of myself. Maybe some of you can resonate with that. Like, I just didn't even recognize myself. I probably wasn't a lot of fun to be around for my husband. Frankly, I wasn't enjoying my own company. I was tired. I was irritable. I was edgy. I was anxious. I wasn't sleeping well. I had gained weight. I had like aches and pains all over, gut issues. I even went gluten-free for 6 years because I was convinced that that was what was causing all of my issues. I used to get this awful rash on my face. I was convinced I had some sort of autoimmune condition that no one could diagnose. And maybe you guys can relate with this. Like I saw all the doctors, had all the labs taken, it all came back, normal or within normal range. And it wasn't until I was like, I'm not doing this anymore, right? Like, I don't want my kids to have memories of me being cranky and tired and miserable. Like, I want more for motherhood. I want more for my marriage. I want more for my life. and I hired my first coach, and I started working with a functional medicine practitioner. And what I was seeing and what I was learning is that the underlying theme through all of it, right? Everything I was experiencing was that my nervous system was dysregulated. So that's why I'm so passionate about teaching this stuff now, because as you learn how to regulate your nervous system, it changes your whole life, you guys. Yeah, Kate can relate. She's like, that's me too. The test is always normal, but you know, right? It's almost like we're being gaslit by our own test results. It's like, I know something is off. I don't feel well, but everything comes back within normal range. It's because it's at, yeah, same. It's because it's at a nervous system level. And you've got to learn how to regulate your nervous system. And that's what we teach inside of Restore. So this is me now. I am the host of the Calm Mom podcast. A lot of you are probably listeners. I'm so grateful for you. I'm a mom and a wife. This is my husband, Jeff, the best human being on the planet. My two kids, they're older now. That was about, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. But I'm also a trial attorney here in Miami. I've been a law professor for years. My husband and I pastor a church here in Miami. It's called One Name Church. I'm a certified master life coach, and I'm a certified neurological fitness trainer. And I say all of this to tell you that 10 years ago, 7 years ago, there's no way on God's green earth that I could have held all of these titles and felt good, right? Like had energy, felt at peace, not anxious, felt present while doing all of this and wearing all of these hats and holding all of this life and all of these roles that I fill. And the thing that I attribute, right? The grace of God and a regulated nervous system, learning how to put boundaries into place, learning how to manage stress, learning how to create energy from the inside out. And that's what I want to teach you guys today. All right, so we're going to get started. Part 1 of our roadmap today, we're going to start with some daily micro habits, some morning and some evening micro habits that are really going to have a huge impact on your energy levels. All right, so each time we get to one of these stops in our roadmap, I'm going to ask you guys to post up in the chat. So I want you to post a 1 in the chat if this is you. I dread the start of each day, right? I'm someone who hits the snooze button over and over. I got to drag myself out of bed. I just can't seem to get going. The struggle is real. And then, come dinner time, evening, I'm just fried, right? I am done. If that's you, drop a 1 in the chat. If you are number 2, go ahead and drop a 2 in the chat. I kind of have morning and evening routines, right? I've tried it, but more often than not, I'm just kind of surviving, flying by the seat of my pants. It's working fine, right? If that's you, put a 2. And then if you're number 3, go ahead and put that in the chat too. I'm so energized. I've got rock solid morning and evening routines. I follow them in integrity. I know how to balance my nervous system, optimal gut health. Yeah. So a lot of you guys are where I was just a few years ago, right? In the 1 and the 2. Let's talk about it and let me help you. So here's the thing about getting quality sleep, getting quality rest so that we feel energized. It does not begin, a good night's sleep does not begin in the evening when we're getting ready to go to sleep. A good night's rest actually begins in the morning, the day before, right? It's all about resetting your body's natural circadian rhythm. How we go about doing that. All right, let's talk about cortisol. We talk a lot about cortisol on the podcast. Cortisol is our body's main stress hormone. When we are under stress, which let's be real, that's most of us, most of the time, our body gets a signal to produce and release cortisol so that we can be spurred into action and respond to all of the stress in our life. So if we have high cortisol levels, you might be experiencing some of these symptoms. Yes, chronic stress, absolutely. Maybe you have been experiencing early morning wake-ups. Drop a me in the chat if you guys wake up, check your phone, and consistently it's like 2:30 in the morning, 3 a.m. every time, not without fail. Yeah, it's exhausting, right? You're like, why am I waking up at the same time every day, 3 a.m., and I cannot fall back asleep? You have high cortisol levels. How many of you wake up and your anxiety is like on high right in the morning? Everything feels urgent. You get out of bed, feeling like you're late. You got to get going. There's so much to do, right? You just feel anxious from the moment your feet hit the ground. How about nighttime eating? Maybe you get like the munchies at night. Maybe you, especially for sweets, right? Right before bed, you just kind of get this craving for sweets or carbs. And then another symptom of high cortisol is that wired but tired feeling, especially in the evening when you're trying to go to bed. And if you guys haven't heard that term before, you probably can relate to it. It's that feeling where you're so stinking tired. You like lay down, you cannot anymore, but like the wheels are still going. And for some reason you feel wired and you can't go to sleep, even though you know you're so freaking tired, right? That's a sign that you have high cortisol. Now let's talk about this. I drew this, forgive my art, but I drew this graph. The dark grayish greenish color here is a normal cortisol curve on a healthy circadian rhythm. So what happens is that around 2, 3, 4 a.m., your cortisol is going to start to rise, and you should hit peak cortisol levels around 5:30, 6:30, 7 a.m., whatever time you usually wake up. When your cortisol levels peak, that's what actually brings your body out of sleep and into a state of conscious awareness, i.e., you wake up, right? So that's how it's supposed to happen. And then all day long, your cortisol levels are starting to reduce, go down, so that by the time you get to the evening, your cortisol levels are at the lowest that they're going to be all day long. Your body's not feeling all of that alertness and stress and all of those things. It's actually feeling really calm, and you're restful and you're ready to get a good night's sleep. That's how our body is designed to function. Now, if you have high cortisol and you are probably in the earlier stages of burnout, your cortisol levels look more like this peachish, pinkish color. Your cortisol levels are peaking too early. So they're peaking at 2 or 3 a.m. and they're staying high, and you're having a hard time falling back asleep because your cortisol levels are peaking really early. And then what happens is that they'll dip, dip, dip. And then because your whole circadian rhythm is off, in the evening when you're beat and you're finally able to go to bed, the kids are finally down, right? The kitchen is cleaned up. All of a sudden you get a second wind and it's like, man, I know I should be sleeping now, but I'm like, now I have all this energy, right? And now I'm like Googling things and watching shows or reading or working or whatever it is. And you end up staying late, and it's this cycle that perpetuates. So this is an early stage of burnout. Now, when you are later in the throes of burnout, what happens is that your circadian rhythm is so messed up from that chronic release of cortisol and the chronic stress that this is what your curve starts to look like. You have really low morning cortisol levels and really high afternoon, evening cortisol levels. So this might be you if you have a really hard time getting out of bed in the morning. This might be you if you start to feel like better and energized and finally feel alert and like you do your best work in the late afternoon or evening. You feel like you get a second wind before bed, right? It ends up keeping you up longer than you like. So you see again here, that dark colors, that same normal curve. It's supposed to peak when you wake up. But if your cortisol is so out of whack, that you're in the deep stages of burnout, your cortisol levels are really low in the morning. It's hard to get out of bed. They start to increase later in the day, and they're peaking when they're actually supposed to be coming down so you can sleep well. So what do? We want to recalibrate our body's internal clock. We want to recalibrate that circadian rhythm. So our body is releasing cortisol in the morning when we should be waking up, and then it's coming down. And then in the evening, our body is producing melatonin so that we sleep well, right? That's the healthy cycle. So what are some things we can do? All right, here are the high energy morning micro habits that I have for you guys. The first one is to hydrate first thing in the morning. Hydrate first thing in the morning. The first time I read this, I couldn't believe it. Years ago, we lose approximately 16 to 32 ounces of water overnight, right? Just through breathing, sweating. We don't hydrate while we're sleeping, right? 7, 8 hours that we're not hydrating. So we wake up dehydrated. And having like a tumbler next to your bed when you wake up in the morning that you can just chug, or I keep a glass right by my coffee maker. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I do is I just fill it up. I put a little Celtic sea salt in it. I squeeze a lemon in it. That helps with the electrolytes. It helps my cells actually absorb that hydration, and I chug that to just get myself back to like baseline hydration levels before I do anything else. And you guys, this is, if you're going to put anything into practice, if you don't do this, this is probably what I would recommend that you start with, because you're going to notice such a difference. Even the slightest levels of dehydration are going to significantly impair your cognitive function. So that means that we're waking up dehydrated. If we're not rehydrating first thing in the morning, our energy levels are going to be depleted. We're going to feel like we're walking in a state of brain fog all day long. So that's where I would start. The next one is morning sunlight. Ideally, you want to get natural light within 30 minutes to an hour of waking. Why? It all goes back to our circadian rhythm. So our body takes all these different signals in order to release the hormones and the chemicals that we need to function through the day, right? And one of the ways that our body knows, hey, it's daytime, right? Hey, it's morning. It's time to like wake up and be alert and be focused and be energized and be in a good mood and all of these different things is through the intake of light. It signals to our system, hey, it's daytime. It's time to get moving. Our body takes in light through our eyes, right? Through our retina, but our skin also has photoreceptors. So getting out in natural light, or if you can't do that, even just sitting, having your morning coffee, maybe by a window, or you can get one of those like seasonal affective disorder lights on Amazon. Within that first half hour to an hour of waking, really signals to your body, hey, it's morning. It's time for us to start producing the chemicals that are needed for us to have energy. And it's really important. That's why if a lot of you, if you're waking up and it's dark for hours and it's dark in your home, and then you're like wearing your sunglasses when you drive to work, or you're sitting in an office without natural light all day long, it's going to have an impact on your energy levels. It's also why we want to avoid blue light before we go to bed, right? Because blue light, it signals to our body to increase that cortisol production, increase that alertness. So that makes it hard for us to fall asleep. And then the last one for a morning routine I want you guys to start to incorporate is not to have your coffee on an empty stomach. So have something to eat, preferably protein, either with your coffee or right before your coffee. You don't have to overthink this. A little, Greek yogurt, a banana with peanut butter, a hard-boiled egg. I just kind of keep them in the fridge and I'll have that in the morning. But this is so important for two reasons. One, you saw on both of those graphs that we just looked at that our cortisol levels, especially if you're experiencing kind of anxiety in the morning, our cortisol levels are supposed to be at their highest when we wake up. So if we're waking up and then right away with our cortisol levels already really high, we're just chugging a bunch of caffeine. What we're doing is we're just pouring gasoline on that like anxiety, adrenaline fire going within us. And that really can cause a lot of problems. The other thing is that coffee is highly acidic. So if we're putting it into our stomach without anything else lining our stomach, it's going to have an impact on our gut lining, which we're about to see is going to have a huge impact on your mood and on your energy. So those are the three I want to leave you with here. Yeah. Okay, that's the morning. Now let's talk a little bit about the evening. What are some ways in which you can optimize your sleep conditions? The first one is that your nervous system, your body, your circadian rhythm, your internal clock loves consistency. It loves predictability. It loves routine. So you really want to make sure that you're keeping your sleep schedule consistent. Ideally, you're wanting to be going to sleep around the same time every night within a half hour. So if you're going to sleep, one night at 8:30 because you're exhausted, and then the next night at 2 a.m, and then the next night at 11, that's really going to cause some dysregulation in your sleep cycles because of that circadian rhythm. It's a hard time. It makes it hard for it to get going. You want to keep your bedroom cool and dark. Same reason, right? You have photoreceptors, even in your skin, that are signaling whether it's day or night to all of your systems. So if you're someone who sleeps with a lot of light in your room, if you're someone who sleeps with a TV on, even just the blue light emanating from your TV, your body can pick that up and it can send cross signals that are keeping you awake and disrupting your sleep. Kate's asking, is it only coffee that's acidic? and shouldn't be on an empty stomach, or is it all caffeine? Yeah, that's a good question. It's the coffee itself that's very acidic, right? So if you're drinking something else that's caffeinated, that's not as acidic, probably not as big of an impact. But coffee definitely is very acidic. So you can mitigate some of that acid by having something lining your gut before you drink it. All right, two more. One, you want to really be mindful of when you are consuming food and alcohol. So what I teach my clients and what I try to live by is I try to have my last meal of the day. If I'm having alcohol with dinner, I'm trying to limit that to at least 3 hours before bedtime. The reason being that by the time I go to bed, I don't want my body using energy to digest my food or metabolize my alcohol. Alcohol especially causes a stress on our nervous system. And when our body's metabolizing alcohol, it doesn't allow us to get into a deep parasympathetic state that we need to get into to be able to rest well. So alcohol, it might feel like it helps you to fall asleep. That might be true. But in the big picture, it's going to disrupt your sleep. It's going to impact the quality of your sleep. So if you're going to have a drink with dinner, just try to make your last drink at least 3 hours before you go to bed. And then the last one is magnesium oil. I have been using this for the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so. I bought a magnesium oil on Amazon. You guys can do the same thing. It's really cheap. It's probably like $7 or $8. And I just searched like pure magnesium oil spray. And when I get into bed, I just spray it on the bottom of my feet. There's good absorption there. And magnesium is a mineral that is really helpful in, one, activating our parasympathetic nervous system. That's our nervous system that promotes a sense of peace and calm and relaxation. And magnesium has also been shown to limit our cortisol production, which is what we want to do in the evening so that we can produce more melatonin. So I know this is a lot, but again, I just want you guys to write these down and then just choose maybe one or two to start putting into practice today and work up to these really healthy morning and evening routines that are going to help you sleep well and thus help you be in a better mood and have better energy. Okay, let's transition to part 2. We're going to talk about the gut-brain axis. The gut-brain axis. All right, so can you use magnesium in your kids? Yes, absolutely. So you can use same magnesium spray. You can do it topically, or you can give them a supplement, but I think topically is great for absorption right there. Maybe a half hour before they go to bed, you can just massage it into their feet, and that's awesome. All right, Mary is on top of it. Post up in the chat when it's you. Poster 1, if you have gut issues, IBS, the bloating, like all that stuff, if it's been a problem for a hot minute, right? Maybe you're like me years ago. You've seen the doctors, run the labs, taken the meds, right? Avoided the food, been on strict diets. It's just been a whole thing. Post a 2 in the chat if you have the occasional gut issues, right? Sometimes you feel bloated. Sometimes you feel like you're like, oh, my body didn't really like that food or that drink. But you know, who doesn't have a taco baby once in a while, right? And then finally put a 3 in the chat if this is you. If you're like, I have been working on this, Michelle. I've got my gut health down to a science, my supplement game on point. I know exactly what foods fuel my brain and my body. Yeah, so a lot of you are with me, right? And the 1s and the 2s. And it's so awesome because you're getting this awareness now, you're getting this information, and we're all going to be number 3 pretty soon, right? When we get this all in order. So here's the big takeaway from the second point. You, my friend, actually have 2 brains. We all know of the brain that we have in our head, right? Obviously. But medical professionals, doctors, the experts in this field will tell us that we also have an organ that acts very much like a brain in our gut, right? So we have a brain in our head and we have a brain in our gut. In fact, serotonin, you guys have heard of serotonin. Serotonin is our happy hormone. It's our feel-good neurotransmitter. 95% of the serotonin in your body, you guys, is produced and stored in your gut. 95%. So 95% of your good mood, your positive vibe, your upbeat attitude, all of that stuff is reliant on your gut health. It's incredible. So why is that important? Well, we've all heard about gut health. We've all heard about probiotics and prebiotics, right? We know that our gut is this microbiome of all these different things that we need to be healthy, right? All different kinds of bacteria and viruses and fungi and all this different genetic material. It all lives there in our gastrointestinal tract. Now, when there is an imbalance in that microbiome, and that can come from so many different things, maybe we live in a society now where it's like, kill all of the germs, right? It's like, maybe if you're on antibiotics, maybe it's all of the like antimicrobial stuff that we use just in our day to day. Stress, we'll talk about that in a second. For whatever reason, if there's an imbalance in your gut microbiome, we call that dysbiosis. And that is going to have a massive impact on your anxiety levels, on your mood, on your energy. It's even been linked to several different mental illnesses. Now, the thing is that the brain and the gut are always communicating, and they communicate via the vagus nerve. We talk about the vagus nerve a lot on the podcast, but that's that channel of communication between our gut and our brain. You see it here. There's two nerves that run down each side of our body from our brainstem down to all of our major organs, and they're constantly sending messages up and down. But here's what we know. Only 20% of the messages in our body are being sent from our brain down to our body. That's why if you're trying to talk yourself into a good mood, talk yourself into having energy, talk yourself and, just work on your mindset stuff or your self-talk or your affirmations or whatever, and you're not dealing with what's going on in your body, you're really going to struggle to consistently feel good, positive, great mood, high energy if your gut health isn't in order. Because 80%, the other 80% of the messaging in your body is being sent from your body up to your brain. So we have to make sure that we're working on both. What I think is so powerful is to work on the mindset stuff. Yes, absolutely important, while we're really supporting safety in the body, a diversity and abundance in the gut microbiome. And then we really can start to get things cooking and really start to see some changes in how we're feeling. Now, what is the number one thing that impacts our gut bacteria, where all of those beautiful things are being created that we need to feel our best? It's stress. It's stress, right? And so many of us are under chronic stress. I mean, I just think about just the month of May. How many of you guys put me in the chat if May is as crazy for you as it was for me? It's like, yeah, May, December, exactly. It's like all the class parties, all the graduations, all the field trips, things like change of the seasons, preparing for summer. Yeah, May is a lot. All of us, for whatever reason, are under a lot of stress, right? Whether it's the stress of our schedules, maybe it's financial stress, maybe it's stress related to your health, maybe it's stress related to relationships, whatever it is, there's just a lot of stress. And when our body perceives stress, it releases hormones that we just talked about, like cortisol and adrenaline. And those hormones can really disrupt our gut microbiome. So it changes not only what's going on in our gut, in abundance, but also in diversity of our gut microbiome. It can cause leaky gut. Stress activates our body's immune response, right? Something doesn't feel safe, bam, inflammation. All of a sudden, we've got all this inflammation in our gut. And it can really disrupt the production of different hormones and chemicals that are so important to our health and our energy and our mood. Things like serotonin, dopamine. 50% of our dopamine is produced in our gut, GABA, all of these different things that we want more of. So it's so, so, so important that our gut health is on point if we want to feel good, right? That's the $1 million question. How do we keep the gut microbiome in balance? And I want to take a minute to talk to you guys about Happy Juice. For those of you who know me, first of all, a lot of you know me really well. Those of you who have been listening to the Calm Mom podcast for a while, right? We just celebrated 2 years. You guys know that never once in the whole time I've been practicing as a life coach, doing nervous system work, hosting the podcast, I have never promoted a product ever. And the reason why is just because I value you guys so much. And I don't want to be, one, I don't want to be spamming you with stuff, but then two, like, I don't want to be just throwing stuff at you to throw stuff at you. However, I started taking Happy Juice myself at the beginning of January. So it's been 5 months now. And Happy Juice has changed my life, you guys. Like, I cannot overstate it. In fact, it kind of sounds ridiculous coming out of my mouth, how much of an impact that it's had on my mood, on my productivity, on my energy levels, on my motivation, all of it. I actually learned about Happy Juice from a therapist who I really respect. And I heard her talking about it. She was actually putting all her patients on Happy Juice. And I'm like, dude, what is this? Like, is this like, you heard about mom juice, like when women are drinking wine? I'm like, is this like some name she made up? But no, it's called Happy Juice. And it's created by Amare, which is the mental wellness company. And it's so cool what they're doing, but it's these 3 products, mood stabilizing products that you mix together in one drink. It looks like this. And it's specifically to target your gut brain axis. So I want to buy your first order of Happy Juice for you. I want you guys to experience this. So if you stay with me for a few more minutes, I'll tell you how at the end you can try it out on me. But let's talk about Happy Juice. Let's talk about what it's done for me, what it's been proven to do, and why I think that everyone needs to be on Happy Juice. Happy Juice will boost your mood, your energy, and your motivation. That's why we're all here. We want to experience more of that. It provides overall health for your second brain, which is your gut, right? It populates your microbiome with different strains of probiotics and prebiotics. It actually provides the fuel that you need to be super productive. It helps to normalize your gut and your immune and your brain function because it optimizes that gut-brain axis. It supports the growth and vitality of a range of gut-friendly bacteria, and it actually increases the production of serotonin in your gut. It protects it so that you have more of those feel-good neurotransmitters. So what is it? It's these 3 different products. You mix them all together into one drink, and it tastes delicious. I actually really like the taste of it. The first one is Mentabiotics. That is probiotics, prebiotics, and phytobiotics. That balances your gut. The second one is this one right here on the right, the Edge. That will improve your mood, your motivation, your metabolism. It's nootropic, so it's awesome for your brain health. It supports your neuron regeneration in your brain, and it's going to help you be focused. Like, you guys, I have so many ideas coming through these days. I'm so excited for summer because I have so much I want to bring you. And a lot of it is I can just tell, like, that Happy Juice is opening up these channels of like passion and excitement and creativity in me. I have the energy to do it, right? It combats mental fatigue. And then the last one is in the middle here. It's called Energy Plus. And this is clean, plant-based energy. It gives you mental endurance, motivation, all without the jitters and with no crash, you guys. I used to crash at like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. I don't know if any of you experience that more often than not. Not anymore since I started Happy Juice. I can get stuff done all day long. I pick up my kids from school at 3 p.m. I have a ton of energy to hang out with them. And for someone like myself, I am fairly caffeine sensitive. So I take the option without caffeine, but there's also an option with caffeine. And then you just mix these 3 together and you drink it once a day, and it will help repair your gut health so you can produce the neurotransmitters that you need to have a great mood and have a lot of energy. So in the clinical trials, this is the last thing I'll kind of say about it, but I think it's important. In the clinical trials, Happy Juice has been shown to increase a positive mood by 211%. It's wild. People reported a 55% decrease in anxiety. It lowered muscle tension. So a lot of you that are experiencing kind of the aches and pains, shoulder pain, neck pain, by 45%. It lowers anger by 54%. 60% decrease in irritability. So if that's something you're just kind of feeling like, irritable, on edge, this is so powerful for that. And it's because it's targeting your gut, right? You're producing more serotonin. You're producing more of those feel-good neurotransmitters. A 70% increase in the good bacteria, and then it increases production, like I was just saying, of those feel-good neurotransmitters. So this has been a game changer. My whole family is on it now. My husband loves it. He takes it with me in the morning. And then I wanted to share with you because, you know, it is the Calm Mom podcast. Oh, Danny said you were looking for it. Awesome. Okay. There's a kids pack. So if some of you are listening who have a spicy child, or maybe you have a child who tends to just be a little bit more of like a down mood or a little grumpier or a little more edgy or irritable. This is so powerful. Lots of spice here. Yeah, this is so powerful to give our kids. It's a kid's version, but it does the same thing in their gut. It helps to restore their microbiome, and it helps to produce more serotonin, and it helps to repair that gut-brain axis all naturally. You'll notice a significant difference in the mood of your children and your teenagers if you start giving them this supplement. I know for me, my youngest, ever since she was born, pretty much has had gut issues. Like she's had a really hard time going to the bathroom consistently, food sensitivities, all these different things. The kids pack for Happy Juice is so good for that. So if you are interested in helping to increase your kids' emotional resilience, stabilize their mood, support their gut-brain axis, build their mental focus, this is a great supplement for them. The key ingredient is saffron. They've actually like trademarked it Afron Saffron. But what's been so fascinating as they've studied the use of saffron in children that have exhibited things like ADD, ADHD, oppositional defiance disorder. If you have a child who has a hard time paying attention, focusing, sitting still, getting their stuff done, this is a great natural alternative for our children also. So this is such a good option. Okay, so I wanted to share that with you. If it's piqued your interest, like I said, I want to buy your first order. So I'm going to tell you how you can take advantage of that in just a few minutes after we go through this part 3. Last thing we're going to talk about today, emotional regulation. All right, so post up in the chat. If you resonate with number 1, drop a 1 in the chat. I have just felt so edgy lately. It doesn't take much for me to lose my cool. And guys, let me just preface all of this. There's no shame here, right? All of us have been in one of these categories at some point. You're here. Yeah. So let me help you because I've been there too, right? I don't even recognize myself. I'm snapping at my kids. I'm snapping at my partner. Like I'm over it. Yeah. I get the sad face because it sucks. It sucks for everybody. It sucks for our kids. It sucks for our partner and for us, right? Like no one wants to feel like that. I've been there. I feel you. Drop a 2 in the chat if you're kind of in another end of the spectrum where you're like, I'm actually not that emotional, right? Like I don't actually feel much of anything maybe. I don't remember the last time I yelled. If anything, I kind of get really quiet or I withdraw when I'm annoyed or when I'm upset, like I'm super chill. Or number 3, drop a 3 if you're like, Michelle, I've got this down, right? I've got the tools, I've got the practices for healthy emotional expression, release. Like I'm super comfortable, not only with my big feelings, but maybe with my kids' big feelings, like anger and frustration. Yeah. So a lot of 2s, you guys are not in this alone. That's for sure. Okay. The big takeaway for our last point today is that emotion is simply energy in motion. Emotion, energy in motion. And when we are suppressing emotions until we pop off, or if we don't have healthy tools to express our emotions, especially the big ones, guys, that requires an immense amount of energy. That requires immense effort. It's like a huge inflated beach ball, right? That anger or that frustration or that pain or whatever it is. And it's like we're at the beach and we're trying to hold it underwater. That takes a lot of energy. That takes a lot of effort. So when we are suppressing our big emotions like that, it would make sense that if we're using energy, we're using effort to hold that in, we're going to feel tired. We're going to have a short fuse. We're going to feel snappy and irritable, right? We're going to lose it more often than we would like. And why do we suppress our emotions? Why is it so common for us as human beings to suppress our emotions? Well, it's a lot of reasons. I think these are the top 3. The first one is that we've just been taught, probably unintentionally, by our caregivers to suppress our emotions, right? Either we've modeled what they've done. They did not have healthy emotional expression. They were either like always angry and it was really scary for us, or they never expressed, especially anger, in a healthy way, right? Maybe we never saw it. Or maybe we were told, again, probably with good intentions, things like, shake it off, just be tough, big girls don't cry, boys don't cry, all of those things that we're told that actually form a subconscious pattern of emotional suppression. Maybe you were oversoothed and distracted as a kid, right? Maybe your caregivers became so uncomfortable when you had tears or big emotions or a temper tantrum that they would immediately give you, here's a snack, something trying to cheer you up, TV, food, whatever it is, a toy. And that, again, sent a message like, these big emotions aren't good. This isn't acceptable. I've got to hold this in and I've got to pretend to be happy or figure out how to be happy or hold in the tears or whatever it was. And something we learned at 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old is now a pattern into adulthood. And then finally, I think a lot of times, and again, I think a lot of this is unconscious, is that we have this fear that if we do allow our emotions to express, that if we open that lid just a tiny little bit, that the whole thing's just gonna pop off and explode, right? We're not gonna be able to reel it back in. And then we think that we are our emotions. Instead of experiencing anger, none of us wanna be angry, right? I don't want to be an angry man, angry woman. Yeah, Andrea can relate to that. A lot of us can, right? So there's a lot of reasons why we suppress. It all makes sense. There's a reason why we would do that. And then in that suppression over time, we've all developed coping strategies to hold that stuff in, right? I don't want to cry. I don't want to scream. I don't want to feel this pain or whatever. So what do we do? And again, a lot of this subconscious, we numb out, right? Alcohol, TV, working, scrolling social media, shopping, whatever it is. We're the strong one, right? Everyone's like, wow, you're so strong. It's like, yeah, I'm just not expressing what I'm actually feeling, right? I'm fine. Feelings inside, not expressed. Maybe we get into a pattern of spiritual bypassing. It's a popular one. Oh, I know everything happens for a reason, right? God uses everything for good. Look on the bright side. While those things might be true, we can't just bypass all of the pain, all of the frustration, the anger, the whatever, and just get there, right? We have to actually feel what's going on if we're going to heal it instead of just suppress it and tell ourselves there's a reason, it's all going to work out in the end. And then we might stay in our head. That's a very common coping mechanism I see in the women I work with, right? We'll, analyze the heck out of it and we'll rationalize it and we'll, we can think about it and ruminate on it and create pros and cons and write about it. But heaven forbid we actually feel any of it. And then the same thing with the last one, right? We can kind of fall into this victim road or point, blame everyone on everyone else, because when we're in victim or when we're pointing the blame at someone else, we don't have to feel anything either. So that becomes a really effective coping mechanism. Emily says it's also hard to be an emotionally expressive person when you have a partner that's the opposite, because you can feel like expressing emotions is unnatural. Yeah, I hear that. It requires a relearning of what it means to be emotional, first thing. And breaking apart, I think, all the paradigms and labels that we have with that, right? Is it actually weak to cry? Is it actually crazy to be angry, right? We have to break all of that apart. And then I think the second part of it is that we also have to be responsible with our emotions, i.e. we have to learn to express them in ways that are safe and ways that are healthy and ways that are, not damaging to ourselves or to anyone else. So when we can learn tools to do that, we talk a lot about that inside of Restore. That can help a lot too if you have a partner who's not as comfortable with those emotions as you are. And this goes to your point, Emily. There's only two things that we do with our emotions. So we either imagine the last time that you felt yourself getting really irritated or angry, right? Probably don't have to think back too much, especially if you're raising little human beings, right? They know how to trigger us. So the first thing that can happen is your emotions start to come up and you feel yourself starting to get aggravated or agitated or annoyed. And because you're so uncomfortable with that emotion, you greet it with judgment. Nope, not now. I can't feel you right now, right? This isn't appropriate. You don't want to be crazy. You don't want to, whatever it is. And that judgment just pushes all that emotion back down, and it just keeps being recycled. It comes up, we push it back down. It comes up, we push it back down, right? And what happens, especially with anger, is that it's a very leaky emotion. So if we don't have tools to express our anger and release it in a healthy way, it's going to leak out, and it's going to leak out like an eye roll here, right? Or a sarcastic comment here, or some resentment here, and it's not good. So if we're not recycling our emotions, what's the better option? The better option is actually to feel them and allow them to express and release. And that happens when, again, you feel it rising up. And instead of greeting it with judgment, you greet it with compassion. Wow, I can see how this is really frustrating right now, or really making me angry or whatever. And we allow ourselves to feel that, express it in a healthy way, right? Have tools to do that. And then we're not constantly playing that game, which takes so much energy to hold all of that garbage in that we're never meant to carry and hold. How do we do some of that? I teach so many different tools for healthy emotional release. Inside of Restore, I teach a bunch of body-based tools to get those emotions up and out, and you will not believe how much better you feel after and how much space you create and how much energy comes from that. Some other things, stem sentence writing. So just starting out with some basic stem sentences. I feel angry when, this made me upset when, this was super painful, I'm so frustrated when, and then just kind of release writing to get that emotion activated, up and out. I teach something called an adult temper tantrum, which is exactly what it sounds like, right? Our kids, our little ones especially, they haven't been tainted yet by the conditioning of society. They know how to express their emotions, maybe not in the most responsible way, but they certainly know how to let it out. Adult temper tantrums, letter writing, right? Sometimes even just writing letters to our parents. We don't realize how much we actually hold when it comes to our own parents, can bring up so many emotions that if we allow to release, we find so much freedom and so much regulation and so much energy on the other side of it. Now, I put a lot at you guys in the last, since we started. You have tools, you have habits, you have ways to help improve your gut-brain axis. You know how important that is. Really feeling your emotions. Yeah, Kate says she's had huge breakthroughs by writing letters to people who've hurt you. Yeah, and then unsent, exactly. You burn them, rip them up, put them in the shredder. No one ever needs to read them or see them. That's not the point, right? The point is to just get those emotions out of you. All right, so you have a lot of handles. Where do you go from here? Where do you go from here? I think this is where you start. You have to decide if you're willing to take the next step. Here's the thing. There are 3 steps when it comes to anything we want to change. So if you are feeling exhausted chronically, right? Stressed, irritable, anxious, burnt out, whatever brought you here today, first, you have to have an awareness of that. You guys all do, you're here. Second, you have to gather information about how to change it, right? And you did a lot of that today. You do that listening to my podcast. You do that reading books, other podcasts, showing up today. You're gathering information on how to feel better, how to show up differently, how to take care of your body in a different way. But most people stop there. But not you, because in order for us to effectuate any change in our life, we actually have to take a 3rd step, and that is taking action, right? We actually have to put into practice the things that we're learning. So that's a decision that you can make today, right? How much is your emotional, your mental, your physical health worth to you? That you have the awareness that it's not where you want it to be. You've gathered the information about what to do, but are you going to take action? Maybe you want step-by-step support, right? And regulating your nervous system. Maybe you want to take a chance on yourself. Can you stay committed? Can this be the time that you get accountability, get around other women, get with a coach like myself who can guide you through this? So this can be the summer where you're like, I actually did something about how I was feeling, and we had the best summer ever, right? I made so many great memories with my kids. I wasn't exhausted. I wasn't crabby and irritable. I had energy. I was in a good mood. Because here's the thing. I'm here to tell you guys, it's entirely possible. You can heal your burnout. You can regulate your nervous system. And I want to show you how. I've done it with hundreds of women. I've seen them come in, right? Feeling a lot of how you're feeling now, and then leave after working with me or in one of my programs, complete 180, feeling so different. If you guys listen to the podcast, you've heard me talk about my group program. It's called Restore. We are starting our summer cohort soon, and I want you to be a part of it. It's the only step-by-step coaching program I'm aware of that works on the mind and the body, somatic expression, somatic practices, mindset, all of it for high achieving women who are also raising kids. You're going to learn how to regulate your nervous system and put all of this stuff into practice. Clarissa, this is not a picture of her. I just found a picture. I didn't have one of Clarissa, but I think she's here today. She left this testimony. She was in the last round of Restore. And she said, things that used to really set me off and stress me out, they don't trigger me like they used to. She said, I now have better coping mechanisms, better techniques to be able to move through stressful situations more quickly. And stress doesn't impact me like it used to, which is such a win. So here's how Restore works. I want to give you guys a sneak peek. It's 6 different modules, 6 different steps to regulate your nervous system and heal from burnout and increase your energy. So really quickly, I want to just talk through each of those. I'm going to like fly through these, but I want to get you guys for a feel. I want to give you a feel of what you're going to learn inside of Restore. These lessons are pre-recorded. I upload them for you guys. You'll get one release each week of Restore, and you watch them on your own time. So in total, each week, it's probably about 30 minutes worth of lessons. You guys know how I teach. There's no fluff in there. It's like you're learning. It's actionable. I'm going to use your time well. You're going to learn what you need to do. I'm going to tell you how to put stuff into practice. That's during the week. And then on Thursdays, we're going to gather on Zoom live at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. And I'm going to do live Q&As, live coaching. I'm going to walk you through different body-based somatic practices, breath work, upper body, lower body, like releasing tension, releasing stored trauma, all this different stuff. Oh, there's Clarissa. She just popped in. It was such a game changer. She said it was life-changing information. Okay, so in module 1 of Restore, you're going to learn how to unlock the stress cycle. So again, if you guys have been listening to the podcast, maybe you relate with being either stuck in fight or flight or stuck in a freeze response. In order to shift your body out of fight or flight and out of a freeze response, you need to complete the stress cycle. So that will be week 1 inside of Restore. You'll learn how to do that. In week 2 and module 2, we're going to go much deeper on a lot of these daily habits. So you're going to get those, like, you're going to get them down. We're going to look at the things that are stressing you out in your life, how you can reduce or mitigate a lot of those. We're going to get your nutrition on point, and a lot of different things that support nervous system regulation. In module 3, we're going to adjust your coping mechanisms. So how are you handling stress right now, right? Are you coping with stress by waiting for that glass of wine at 5 p.m.? Are you coping with stress by just bottling everything up, by being snappy and irritable, anxiety? Like, how is it showing up for you? And how can we put some intention behind that so you're coping better with stress? In week 4, we're all about emotional regulation. So we're going to take a look in further depth about how you might be suppressing emotion. And then I give you guys really practical ways to release, process, express a lot of the emotions that you've been storing that have been causing you to feel dysregulated and exhausted. In week 5, module 5, all about boundaries. So I'm going to teach you guys what I think is a very unique take on setting boundaries. Boundaries are so important to protect how we want to feel, right? Our joy, our energy, our attention, our bandwidth, our behaviors, all of it. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. And I'm going to teach you a framework for enforcing boundaries. And then in our last week, in week 6, we talk all about mindset. So you're going to learn how your mindset and your nervous system work together in tandem to really bring it all home. So those are the 6 weeks inside of Restore. You can do it. You can absolutely regulate your nervous system. You can absolutely heal from burnout. And I want to show you guys how, right? Like, what if you could start feeling better today? What if all you needed was just a better understanding of what was happening in your body, in your nervous system, and how to unlock the stress cycle? Heidi, who was also with us in the last round of Restore, she said, before working with Michelle, I was experiencing low self-esteem, loss of identity, edgy, lost, disconnected all the time. How many of you can relate to that? Especially, I think, when we have really young kids, maybe postpartum. She says, Michelle didn't only help me with the self-awareness piece, she gave me the tools to tackle it, like really practical and manageable, effective tools to turn those rough moments and days around so much quicker. So if you're experiencing any of those symptoms that we talked about at the beginning of nervous system dysregulation, things like anxiety, fatigue, brain fog, people pleasing, gut issues, this is for you. Restore is for you. If you're ready, right, to take a stand and draw a line in the sand, break free from burnout. If you're done with the Band-Aid fixes, if you really want to heal your symptoms at the root, it's your nervous system. It's your nervous system. You've got to learn how to regulate it so you don't feel so irritable and edgy, and you can really show up in the best way for yourself and for your kids. One of the coolest things about Restore is that it comes with, as part of Restore, when you register, you get access to a personalized nervous system app. It's an app on your phone. You're going to be able to track the state of your nervous system every day through your heart rate variability. So it's so cool. It's cutting edge science and technology. And then the algorithm inside that app is going to recommend different nervous system balancing exercises that take just 2 or 3 minutes. So this is one of my favorite things about Restore. I'm so excited about it. You get your own app, so you're tracking all your habits and the state of your nervous system every day. You're going to get live coaching from me every Thursday. Excuse me. We also have a private community for members. So I'll be in there answering your questions, engaging with all you people in there. And it's the only program, guys, where we're going to do top down and bottom up approaches. So you're going to do a lot of moving, a lot of breathing. I'm going to teach you how to release this. Now, this is how you get a free first order of Happy Juice. If you join Restore in the next 24 hours, so I will keep this open until tomorrow afternoon. If you join Restore in the next 24 hours and you go ahead and you order your first order of Happy Juice from the link I'm about to give you, send me your receipt, email it to me at hello@michellegrosser.com, and I will send you back what you spent on your first order of Happy Juice up to $150. Yeah, so there's the link right there in the chat, michellegrosser.com/happy. If you order any of those packaged orders that I put together for you, I did one of the kids pack, I did one of Happy Juice without caffeine, and one of Happy Juice with caffeine. If you register for Restore in the next 24 hours, and then you purchase any of the packages from the links at michellegrosser.com/happy juice, send me via email your receipt and I will send you back $150. So it's the best way for you guys to try this. I think the best thing for you to do, and the reason why you want to use this link to order the Happy Juice, is that I've included $10 off, and I've also included all of the relevant discounts available at the moment. So you're going to get the best price available for you. So you want to join Restore in the next 24 hours, get your Happy Juice, send me the receipt, and I'll send you back $150. It's time, you guys. Like, how you want to feel is on the other side of one step forward today. So here's the process. Here's what you'll need to do to start becoming part of this next cohort of Restore. There's a link in the chat right now. You're going to save your spot in Restore. So you're going to go to michellegrosser.com/restore. You're going to save your spot in Restore. You're going to have immediate access to that NeuroFit app. You're going to have immediate access to some pre-work and some modules. And then Restore will officially start the week of June 17th. So that is like a week and a half away. Not next week, but the following week will officially start. You're going to save your spot in Restore. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to michellegrosser.com/happy, order your Happy Juice, send me your receipt, email it to me, hello@michellegrosser.com. And if I see that you are also registered for Restore, I'm going to refund you $150 to cover your first order and then some of Happy Juice. Now, by the end of this Restore, that is, guys, you're no longer going to be throwing stuff at the wall, hoping something's going to help. You're no longer going to be wishing you had more clarity about where to start. You're no longer going to be investing, right? Let's be real, probably hundreds of dollars, maybe even thousands of dollars in different solutions, different supplements, different medical appointments, different nutritionists, like all of these different things, just not to find any relief. You're no longer going to be so irritable and tired that you can't make this like the best summer ever with your kids, right? Make all those special memories together. Instead, when we're done, when you end Restore, you're going to have clear action plan to transform your habits, your systems, and your routines. You're going to recognize your current coping mechanisms for stress. You're going to become a boundary boss. You're going to have such healthy boundaries protecting your peace and your joy and your energy. And you're really going to learn how to master your mindset. All right, so here's how much I think Restore should cost or could cost. Weekly mini classes that you're going to get and somatic body-based practices, $3,500. Personalized coaching. I will be coaching you personally in a group setting, $1,000. Weekly live coaching calls, $4,000. Community asking Q&A 24/7. I'll be there to answer your questions between our sessions. $1,000, guys. This adds up to about $9,000. That is not the cost of Restore. Restore is $1,497. But here's the thing. Because you came to this masterclass, because you have stayed to the end, if you go to michellegrosser.com/restore in the next 24 hours, there is a code at checkout. And if you put that code in at checkout, you will save $500 just for being here today. So that means that you can join the summer cohort of Restore for just $347. It'll be 3 payments of $347. It's a monthly payment plan, or you can pay in full. You save about $100 at $997. But either way, I mean, what an investment in order to be able to completely feel different, have the energy, heal your nervous system, right? There really isn't a price you can put on that. And then on top of all of that, not only do you save $500, but you'll also be able to try Happy Juice for a month for free, right? So you get Happy Juice and you get Restore for $997, less the $150 that you're going to be refunded. So you're looking at $850 for this 7-week program. There's nothing out there like this, you guys. So I just can't wait for you to be a part of it. You get access to the app for free, all of this coaching. If you're still here and maybe you're thinking like, I don't know if I have time for this right now. It's summer. There's a lot going on. I don't know if I can afford this right now, right? This is a big investment. I hear all of that. And I would just tell you, if you're not sure if you have time for Restore this summer, that may be true. And it may also just be your dysregulated nervous system talking, right? If you're already feeling overwhelmed, low energy, burnout, it would make sense that you might not think you have the energy or the bandwidth to do it at this time. And I would argue that's actually even more of a reason to do Restore now, so you can get a handle on this stuff and have more energy and have greater capacity to handle life and not feel so dysregulated and burnt out and tired and overwhelmed all the time. And then if you're wondering about the investment, what I would encourage you to do is really start to think on and pray on and journal on what's actually expensive, right? Is $347 a month for 3 months actually expensive? Or is a dysregulated nervous system actually costing me more? Is that actually costing my family more? Is that actually costing my children more? Our family memories more, right? Our special time this summer, like what's actually more expensive? So if you are still with me and you're like, yes, I want to be a part of this, I'm in, I've been thinking about doing Restore for the last 6 months, it's finally time, I'm jumping in, I want to take advantage of $500 off. I want to take advantage to try Happy Juice for a month for free. Man, join the summer cohort of Restore. I want you guys there. I want to meet you. I want to coach you personally. I want to guide you step by step through this journey. I want to teach you how to unlock the stress cycle and regulate your nervous system. So all the links are right there in the chat. You're going to go to michellegrosser.com, Restore within the next 24 hours, save your spot in Restore, and then go to michellegrosser.com/happy. Order your Happy Juice or your kids pack from one of those 3 packages I have there for you. Email me your receipt, hello@michellegrosser.com, and I will refund you up to $150. So I'm so excited. We kick off, like I said, on the week of the 17th. Everything will go live. We'll get started on that Thursday with our first live call. All of those live calls will be recorded. So if for some reason there's a Thursday, I know it's summer, you're going to be traveling or you're not available, you're going to miss part of it. They'll all be recorded and then you'll have access to them within a couple hours later that day. So you won't miss anything. I do want to give you an option and an opportunity before we end today. First, just thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting me with your time. Thank you for being interested. And then second, if you have any questions that I haven't answered, if there's anything you're curious about, anything I taught today or about Restore or about Happy Juice, now is a great time to do it. I will stay on for another few minutes. You can pop it in the chat. It was very helpful. How often do you open up a new cohort? So we do a new cohort or Restore we do it every quarter. So this will, like every season. So this will be our summer cohort. And then I'll do another one in the fall, and then we'll do a winter cohort. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, now's the time, you guys. Jump in, join Restore. You get $500 off. There's a code at checkout. You save $150 on your first order of Happy Juice. You are going to be feeling so much better so soon. There is hope on the other side for you. I know because I've been there and I'm here now, right, to tell about it. So I'm so grateful for you guys. If we haven't connected yet, I know so many of you listen to the podcast, but feel free to check it out. Follow me on Instagram, michellegrosser.coach. A lot of great resources there. And my website, michellegrosser.com. You are so welcome, Rachel. I'm so grateful for all of you. I'm going to sign off now. I will be sending you the link to this replay in just a couple hours. I'm also going to have all of the links and everything in there when I send you that email, so you'll have easy access to join Restore, get your $150 off your first order of Happy Juice. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to just respond to that email. I'm a real person and I will check it and I will respond to you. So if you have questions, shoot it there. If you want to jump on like a 15-minute Zoom and talk about whether Restore is a good fit for you, I'm happy to do that too. Just shoot me an email and we can set it up. All right, my friends, happy Tuesday. I am wishing you all of the energy and all of the good vibes. I am praying for you always. I'm so grateful for you. I love you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great summer, and I'll talk to you on the podcast soon. All right, be well, my friends.